In what way does my media product use, develop and challenge forms and conventions for real media products? In my media trailer I have followed the conventions in both form and in content. For the form of the trailer, I had to first watch a number of horror trailers to see how R1 would be set out, how long it would be, and anything else that should be needed. I noted that most trailers are between 2 minutes and 3 minutes 30 seconds, so when making ours, we aimed to keep ours between that limit, which we did at 2 minutes 24 seconds. Trailers are usually kept around this length because it's enough time to grab the attention of the audience, but it's not too long that it gives away too much of the plot or bore and lose the attention of the audience before they even reveal the film's name. We opened our trailer up to our production company. This is good for getting our trailer out, since our production company, Universal, is well known for producing good quality films which are big worldwide and would bring in more profits. So if someone sees us in our trailer, they would be assured that the film is good value for money. Also, putting the production logo at the start mirrors the structure of most trailers, as they start off opening with their production company as well. We copied the opening scene of Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the opening scene being a car driving down a road. Instantly you know it's teenagers going away from home on a camping trip. We did this to set the location of a film which is in a forest away from home. This leads to isolation and fear of the unknown, two key paradigms in horror films. Audio, diegetic and non-diegetic sounds. Even though there's music playing throughout our trailer, we still included diegetic sounds, like the dialogue from the film. This is done in many trailers, as it is usually used to set something in the film, or to try to show what type of film it is. For example, if it was a comedy it would have a joke. If it's a horror, it would have a scream or a cry. So because of this, we decided to include the words, "Does anybody know where we are?" This was to show that they are away from their comfort zone, and not only that they don't know where they are, but also indicating the police wouldn't know where to search if they were to go missing. Other sounds in the trailer include rustling of trees and leaves, laughter and a scream from one of the characters saying, "Is anybody there?" which indicates that they are in desperate need for help without giving away why. Non-diegetic sounds in the trailer were the two songs used. The first one was Not the American Average Rory remix by Asking Alexandra. I chose this song for our trailer because it was soft and had a slight chill to the notes. Also, it didn't really include any words for the bit we needed, which would have distracted the viewer away from the trailer and would have lost atmosphere. The second song added is titled God of War 2 Original Soundtrack Junkie XL Colossus Remix. This song was taken from a game which has no words and slowly builds in pace and suspense. In every trailer I have watched, there is either one song being played or none at all. We decided to challenge this and go with two. We did this so we could start off our trailer in a lighter atmosphere, so that when it was apparent that it was a horror trailer, it was a sudden surprise to the viewer. When splitting the two songs apart, we used silence. It was also used as a suspense builder, as silence is a key paradigm for sound used in horror trailers. We also set our second song to time with one of the tone cards, this one saying Alone. The start of the song emphasizes and projects more power behind the word. Transitions. We used fade to black transitions to start off our trailer. We did this because in Texas Chainsaw Massacre they start off using fade to black and it makes the film appear peaceful to begin with. Then towards the end of our trailer we sped up the process of the transitions and started using jump cuts. This increased the pace of the trailer.
Anything new, Smith?
Thought you'd never ask. But take it that means you approve. This is the future.
Text. The tone cards that appear throughout the trailer are to help set the mood of the trailer. The first one says independent, showing the teenagers are out there on their own, looking after themselves. The other cards that show up are isolated, alone, desperate and dead. They slowly get worse in meaning as the trailer reveals more of the horror. Tone cards are regularly used in horror trailers, and the text is usually linked to the film in one way or another. The way they are set out also reflects codes and conventions. Ours are set out with white writing on black background. The colour black is used a lot in horror films, which is why I use this as the background instead of pink, blue or red, which would create a different mood to the trailer. Also, with the word dead, because red in horror films is immediately linked with blood, so dead in red is obviously saying blood will be shed. shot types and reasons. We used various establishing shots in our trailer to emphasize the forest, but we also did it to show the time of day. Establishing shots are in every trailer we have looked at, and are essential to show the setting of the film. We also used a variety of shots from close-ups to mid-shots, to full shots to even point-of-view shots. We used these because the film would be limited if it only consisted of mid-shots and nothing else. Props. We introduced drugs into our trailer, which linked us to paradigms of teenagers doing things they shouldn't. For example, drugs, sex and drink, which in turn would equal their death. We also used this prop to show who was the final girl in the trailer. She was the only person who didn't want to partake in use of weed. Another prop was the car, which showed how they got to their destination. And lastly, a knife, which was used to represent the weapon of which the killer used to kill or attack his victims. In a horror film, a knife is automatically connected with being used as a weapon, whereas if it was a documentary, it would most likely be associated with cooking utensils. This is a coded convention that is linked with props. Setting paradigms. We set our film in the woods, a common setting for horror films. People are always away from home, with few supplies, their mobile phones are out of signal, and they never know who's in the woods with them. It also provides a lot of possibilities for the killer to hide, as it is always dark with dense bushes. Plot paradigms. Our plot follows that of a fair number of horror films: Friday the 13th, Zombie Island, Cabin Fever, Blair Witch Project, and so on. There is a group of teenagers going out camping in the woods. They start doing things teenagers shouldn't do, like drugs and sex and alcohol, and then there is a killer out in the woods who takes them down one by one. Narrative theory, Torodov's equilibrium and disequilibrium. The trailer follows Torodov's narrative theory, which is to do with equilibrium and disequilibrium. Our trailer has a moment of equilibrium, a moment of disequilibrium, and then a period of disequilibrium. Our trailer starts off with clips from the period of equilibrium, which is the teenagers arriving in the woods, looking for a spot to camp. The moment of disequilibrium occurs when the weed is introduced and the final girl walks away from the group, and is then shortly followed by the killer. The reason why this is not the period of disequilibrium yet is because after this scene it reverts back to periods of equilibrium. The period of disequilibrium begins when the music kicks in and the tone card alone pops up. After this, all the shots are showing the characters in a panic and rush as they flee from the villain. In a trailer, you must not put a moment of new equilibrium in, as this is what happens when the villain has been killed. Everything is safe, but not as the way it was once before. The reason this is not put in the trailer is because it would give away the plot of the film. It shows who survived and even maybe how the killer died. Characters in the trailer follow the paradigms of horror films. We have a slutty girl who enjoys sex, does drugs and drinks, all the things that would get someone killed in a film. She usually has blonde hair, that's why we chose Danielle for this character. We have the final girl who doesn't do drugs, doesn't drink, and is usually a virgin. She's the character who would succeed in killing the villain, and would usually be the one who survives. We chose teenagers as our characters because that is also the age of our target audience. By using characters they can relate to, this increases the fear of the fact of the teenager dying in the film. Killer. The first time you see the killer is only a glimpse. This is to show they are not on their own, and it also begins to build the suspense of the trailer. We decided to cover up most of his appearance in the film. You only see his eyes and hands throughout, nothing more. This is so that the killer's appearance is left to the imagination of the viewer, making him more scary than anything we could possibly make ourselves. Plus, you wouldn't want to give away what the killer looked like in a trailer, because this is one reason why people want to go see the film at cinema. Our killer isn't like most villains in film. He represents today's youth. This is because we decided to challenge the way killers are depicted and therefore try to capture fears of today's youth, which are often of dangerous youth in gang crime. This also reflects the fairly recent film Harry Brown, which although is more of an action film than a horror, has fared well with profit, which we believe is to do with the recent idea of youth being in film. We never show our killer running, which is a paradigm of horror. No matter how fast the victim runs and how slow the killer walks, he will always seem to find their location and always seems to catch up with them one way or another. We also don't want to give away the plot, so we don't show any scenes of the killer killing or capturing anyone. We ended our trailer with the name and the film and the stars of it. We also made it out to look like a poster, as it would be more memorable for the audience because it promotes visual cues.